Welcome to my Teltherasus boss rush guide. So this is an enemy that was originally introduced in season 3.5. It's the final boss in the Doom of Dragons season. And if you've played the story, in normal difficulty will have level 50, in hard difficulty will have level 80, and in elite difficulty it will have level 100. However, now it has been introduced as one of the three. Now it used to be two, now it's three uh, enemies in the um, boss rush events. So, first of all, as usual, always check the event modifiers. The three random modifiers this time are the 50% chance to inflict blind on you every time they attack you, receive double damage from all sources while frozen, and matching purple gems regen 5% of maximum armor. Now, the thing about this enemy is this prismatic aura special ability. So let's talk about it. Unfortunately, I don't know how to stop this. Okay. At the start of each turn, gain a random prismatic buff. When dealing elemental damage, gain the corresponding prismatic buff. If I would take lethal damage while still having prismatic buffs remaining, dispel a random prismatic buff instead and survive with one hit point left. In plain English, he puts buffs on himself, and in order to kill it, you have to deal lethal damage multiple times. Every time you deal lethal damage, if it has buffs, you will remove one buff instead of killing it. And you will only be able to kill it after you remove all the buffs he has. So in a way, this fight is a race. The longer the battle stays, the harder it will be for you because he's constantly adding one buff. Now, this enemy is particularly difficult if you're using for example, if we go to the basic Assassin Nightblade build that I have a video about, no, I don't want to. I want to go back here. Okay, go back to gear. All right. And we check these spells. In this one, I added a second spell, but if you watch my original video, the base configuration that I recommended was with darkness right here instead of Den of Nightmares. So a configuration like this, which is very strong because it's going to increase the damage of your Nightblade considerably with Climb the Peak, but you're only hitting your opponent once every turn. Similarly, physical builds usually only hit once per turn. The idea is to generate as many skulls as you can, and then you get one really big blow. And this boss is, well, the idea behind it, if I understand the designer's mind, was to make it difficult for those types of builds. So, how can you defeat it? Well, the build that I recommend is just plain and simple not this one, event. Okay, the plain and simple burn warlock build with tentacle slap, darkness, dark eyes, and eldritch blast. I've made multiple videos about this build, and the thing is that, well, this build works for all the other two bosses as well as events in general. It's not fast, but it's reliable. And in this case, it is reliable as well. So I'm going to enter and show you how this enemy can be defeated is at maximum level 120 to start, so let's go for it. I'm gonna use an essence just to make the fight a little bit faster. Oh no, that was a mistake. I did not enable it, so always remember to enable rest and recover in events. Alright, oh well, that was a mistake, but maybe I can still do this. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I need. And this. Okay, that should be fine. It's going to be a bit slower, but it should be fine. Okay, so now is exactly the same as any other boss. Here, as you can see, this is one buff that he just got in this turn due to the prismatic aura, which means that he already has one buff that I need to destroy. And here you can see he has 300 hit points and 136,000 resistance, because I'm not dealing any physical damage with this build. So just start using the build normally, the same as any other boss. There is no difference here. Okay, I can do this, and I think, yeah, that's it. No problem. But he just got another buff. He keeps getting buffs every turn. Now, for the third turn, now we need to get a double stun, which is ready. One stun here and this. And please notice that with my spells, with Eldritch Blast and Tentacle Slap, I am dealing some amount of elemental damage. Not much, but it's a little bit that I'm dealing each time I hit it. Okay, I can cast my ultimate, I can pop one of the imps. Alright. Again, this is just normal fight, same way as any other regular bosses. But yeah, he keeps getting buffs. Now, as you can see, the burn damage is starting to deal considerable damage due to the buffs from my imps and wither and etc. And he still has 49,000 resistance, so we need to keep hitting, and we need a stunning row here. We can get this, and this, so it's ready. We can cast the rest of my spells. Okay. Alright, and now more elemental damage than that we're dealing there. Okay, let's cast more imps and get another stunning row. Okay, we got one here, this, and this. So we're safe for this round. Okay, now, as you can see, he has no longer any resistance. Slowly but surely, my spells have depleted all the resistance, but we're not dealing lethal damage yet. However, right now, this should be lethal damage. But he didn't die. He still has a few hit points left. Now is when my spells start chipping away all the buffs. So we use Dark Eyes, again looking for a stunning row. We can get this one ready and perhaps we can complete. Now Eldritch Blast will deal enough damage to kill, so it's going to get rid of one of the buffs. And we got the stunning row, we're safe. We cast Darkness, and Tentacle Slap, again, is going to deal lethal damage and is going to get rid of another buff. And I'm not gonna cast this yet. Yeah, I'm gonna save it for the next round. Now, the burn damage will deal another lethal hit. Okay, and just another round. Another Eldritch Blast, which will get rid of one of these buffs. Okay, I'm gonna cast more. And okay, this is getting a little bit crowded, so what I'm going to do is move this around, move this one here, and let's see if we can complete this row. Okay, it's completed, so we're safe. And I'm gonna explode a few ones because I don't like to have so many imps, and right now we're dealing enough damage. And now Tentacle Slap is gonna get rid probably of this buff. Yep, it's gone. Now he has no more buffs left, and I'm not sure if Burn will kill at the start of the turn or if he will get one buff and survive. So let's check it out. Okay, yeah, he got the buff and then Burn destroyed it. So he gets the buff right at the start of the turn. No problem. We use Dark Eyes. Let's do I'm gonna move this one and this one. So this one is almost complete. He has this buff, but with Eldritch Blast we destroy it. And now he has no more buffs left. So the next attack should kill it. So Tentacle Slap, he has no buffs to survive, and this should be the killing blow. And as you can see, he's dead and I got the goal. Is it pretty? No. Is it fast? No. Is it reliable? Yes. That's why I recommend to use this build. And it's the same build that I recommend to use for any other boss. Now, obviously, if you have a strong build, you can just overpower him or bully him. Okay, so I'm gonna use my main build with my shaman and it's going to be much faster. But just because I am strong enough to deal with him very quickly. Yeah, I'm gonna pop. Oh well, no. I'm gonna just do it normally. I almost got one stunning row there, but it's okay. I got enough. Now, if he doesn't kill me, okay, I was able to block. That's fine. You can see that I can easily overpower him. He has one buff right now, this one, Prismatic Death. So with this hit, I will be able to get rid of it, probably. Yes, as you can see, it disappeared. And the next hit will kill it because he has no more buffs. But obviously with this build, I'm just bullying him. Okay, so this is the basic idea behind this boss. Again, it's exactly the same as if you face him in the Season 3.5 archives, but obviously the level is going to be higher, so it's going to hit harder and it's going to have more armor resistance and hit points. Now, I previously mentioned the assassin, and I said that the problem with this build is that it can only hit once per turn. It's a very strong hit, but it's only once per turn. So, is there something you can do? Well, yes. We can use, for example, Creeping Terror that will apply terror to the opponent. I'm gonna put it in a different loadout. Not this one. Okay, this is the copy of this one, so we can empty this. All right, so we can use, for example, as I said, Creeping Terror. We can still use Nightblade because it's an excellent spell. Then we can use Unnerving Strike, which works very well with Creeping Terror, because if the target is suffering from terror, it generates purple gems and it also hits. And finally, for mana generation, we can use Dark Eyes together with Unnerving Strike. So with this configuration, you will be hitting 3 times every turn. First with Creeping Terror, dark damage, and you terrorize it. Then you hit with Unnerving Strike for the second hit and generate gems. And finally, you hit with Nightblade. That's 3 hits every turn, so you will be able to get rid of 3 buffs every turn. Alright, now what about a physical build? So let's go to the Berserker, for example. The idea behind, as I said before, physical builds is generate a lot of skulls and then hit really, really hard. But it's only once per turn. Well, you can equip certain spells that will deal physical damage. So instead of going against the opponent's resistance, they will go against the armor. And if you have already depleted the opponent's armor with your big physical hit, then they are going to count as additional hits every turn. For example, Split Skulls deal melee damage. Another option for the Berserker is Cleave. It also deals melee damage. So if you equip Cleave and Split Skulls and hit once per turn with your physical attack, you're hitting 3 times every turn with physical attacks. If you're playing a red mercenary, you also have some spells here that can help you. For example, Confident Slice deals melee damage. Bounty Hunt deals missile damage, but melee and missile are both physical, so they are going to go against the opponent's armor equally. I think, yeah, Shakedown is elemental, so no. And Greedy Rage is also melee damage. So you could potentially make a red mercenary with several physical dealing spells. Also, if you're playing green, you have the option of Tangled Skulls that deals melee damage, and this is a spell that any class can use. Finally, there is another thing that you can use, assuming you're strong enough. Obviously, at the end of the day, you need to be strong enough. There is no magic pill here. But if you're using, for example, Burning Fury to deal fire damage, or Flaming Skulls deals fire damage and generates gems and skulls, or no, not Well of Anger, which is the other one I'm looking for. Oh yeah, Burning Fury that I mentioned before. If you're using any of these spells, or Burning Hands that also deals fire damage, you will be going against the opponent's resistance. And if you don't have an elemental build, your elemental damage is going to be relatively low. However, there is one weapon that you can use in these cases, which is the Warlord's Axe. Where are you? Okay. Right here. The Warlord's Battle Axe deals bonus melee damage as elemental damage. So when you deal a physical hit with this weapon, you also deal additional elemental damage. Now this one is ice, obviously it will not work with this build, you will need to change it to fire. But still, my point is, if you can hit physically hard enough, you can at the same time deplete the opponent's resistance with this weapon, and then all your spells that deal elemental damage will go through the resistance directly to the hit points and will still hit the Teltherasus. And if he only has one point left, or if you're dealing lethal damage to him, you will eliminate his buffs. At the end of the day, the important thing to understand about this fight is that it's a race against time. You need to kill him fast. The longer the battle takes, the more buffs he puts on himself. So you need to be able to hit him multiple times every turn. With the example that I use with my Warlock is 3 times. Once with Burn, once with Tentacle Slap, and once with Eldritch Blast. And that is what I recommend. Have at least 3 sources of damage every turn and keep pummeling. If you let him survive for too long, there is a point where you just cannot recover. And obviously, if you only have 1 source of damage every turn, you're not going to make it, because he puts 1 buff every turn. If you have 2, you can still make it, but it's going to be very slow. So that's why I recommend at least 3. And obviously, if you can have 4, much better. But it's going to depend on your build. So this is my video on the Teltherasus boss rush. I hope it was helpful. If so, please like, comment, subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.